Before European explorers and adventurers crossed the great watery expanse of the Atlantic Ocean, the Americas, or the New World as it was to be known by the Europeans, was filled with an ancient history that spanned many centuries of culture and civilization. From about 7000 BC, the native peoples of the Americas began to experiment and cultivate an agricultural way of life. By 1500 BC, permanent agrarian communities in Mesoamerica were becoming established, with the cultivation of corn, beans, squash, and cotton creating the basis for their agricultural lifestyle. The Olmecs were one of the first societies to develop and flourish from around 1500 BC to approximately 400 BC. The Olmecs were the progenitors of many cultural icons from other great Mesoamerican civilizations, such as the Mayans and Aztecs. One of these traditions was the practice of ritual bloodletting, which played a major part in the religious practices of both the Mayans and the Aztecs. The Olmecs are perhaps most famous for their immense artwork, including colossal heads that could represent the Olmecs hierarchical elite. The Olmecs were also great builders, with their religious and cultural center at La Venta, which lasted from 900 BC to 400 BC, containing the Great Pyramid that still towers 112 feet above the surrounding landscape even after 2,500 years of erosion. After 400 to 500 BC, the Olmec civilization fell into decline, but was represented in the achievements of its successor states. One of these states was based in the city of Teotihuacan, a colossal urban area that played host to some 150,000 people at its peak in 450 AD. Teotihuacan played host to huge monumental buildings, including the Pyramid of the Sun, which is the third largest pyramid in the world, with a height of 216 feet. Going further south into Mesoamerica, the Mayans carved their great cities out of the dense jungle of the Yucatan Peninsula. The Mayans were a very advanced civilization and possessed an extremely complex written language along with an incredibly detailed calendar system, which showed the Mayans' mastery of astronomy as well as their mathematical expertise, including the mathematical concept of zero. The Mayan Empire was made up of a string of city-states that often invaded and attacked each other. In these cities, great stone buildings and pyramids loomed over the surrounding lands, including Tikal's temple that rises some 154 feet above the surrounding jungle, and Chichen Itza's El Castillo that rises some 98 feet above the ancient city. For some reason, the Mayan civilization started to go into decline in the Mayan lowlands between the 8th and 9th centuries, with the Mayans' great cities returning to the jungle. The Aztecs were the last great Mesoamerican civilization before the advent of Spanish colonization of the New World. The center of the Aztec Empire was positioned in the city of Tenochtitlan, which was built on small islands in the middle of Lake Texcoco. After the Aztecs established Tenochtitlan in 1325 AD, they began to expand their fledgling empire, and in 1428 the Aztecs created an alliance with the cities of Texcoco and Telcopa. With their new alliance, the Aztecs crushed their regional rivals, and by the early 1500s they ruled an empire that encompassed 5 to 6 million people. By the time Hernan Cortés arrived in the Aztec Empire, Tenochtitlan had a population of up to 300,000 people. However, even the might of the Aztecs could not halt Cortés in his alliance with the Aztecs' many enemies. Moving to the south, the Incan Empire was the largest Pre-Columbian empire that stretched some 2,500 miles along the Andean mountain range. This huge empire only lasted for around 100 years before it was destroyed by the Spanish. The Inca arose from the mountainous lands of Peru, with their capital located at the city of Cusco. After the Incan Empire's founding in 1438 AD by Manco Capac, the empire expanded at breakneck speed. Eventually, at the height of the Incan Empire, it included 10 million people. Because of this mighty empire, the Inca became incredibly wealthy. These riches, however, became the Inca's downfall as it attracted Spanish adventurers, including Francisco Pizarro, who arrived in 1532 and proceeded to destroy the Incan Empire, which had just been weakened by the arrival of smallpox and a past civil war. One of the greatest of the North American pre-Columbian civilizations is known as the Mound Builders, so named because of their unique building style. For a period that lasted some 5,000 years, the Mound Builders constructed large mounds of earth that served a number of uses, including as religious, burial, and ceremonial sites. Monk's Mound is one example of this culture's mound architecture and is thought to have been 100 feet high and 950 feet long. By the time the first European explorers arrived in the New World, the native peoples of the Americas had already built great empires, cultures, and civilizations. However, these great cultures were laid waste by the introduction of European diseases that killed untold millions, as the native peoples of America did not have any built-up immunity. These cultures may have been destroyed and disappeared from the earth, but they still exist in the annals of history where they proclaim the glory and complexity of pre-Columbian civilization.